things.
And do you still experience a moving mind?
Well, you see, I don't really, I wouldn't use the word mind as often if I'm talking about it. Yes, because it's thoughts, you see. Thoughts, again, it's like, I'm sure a quantum physicist would say it's frequencies of energy moving. You know, it's just, right, thoughts come from nowhere and they just go back to nowhere. They never came from anywhere. One doesn't know or care where they're going. And so thoughts arise all the time, because that's life. Life is all of this. It includes thoughts, but thoughts aren't the thing. It's like being is everything, but thoughts aren't being. You can't think yourself into being, because being's the vastness, the spaciousness. But thoughts arise. I think just the way for me living now is that they tend to be more in the background, whereas perhaps they used to be much more in the foreground. I used to run with my thoughts and be, go with my thoughts. But now it's not like that. You know, I'm not run by them anymore. And
so you think so the way you live now is rather than sitting and contemplating and thinking about it, you are spontaneous with life. You just follow. Or nobody follows. I don't know how to say that.
I mean, you see, the thing is, life feels very ordinary. You lose. I tell you what's great is you're not burdened by sort of an ego anymore, because when this is seen, you're seeing that you are everything and everything is you, so you don't feel special anymore. I think when people are still seeking or following a path, it can make them feel special compared to other people who aren't following that path. But when you see there's no path to follow and that you're not even there isn't a you, and there's nothing to follow, there's just whatever's arising presently, that's a very humbling experience. That's very humbling. And so life, I mean, nobody would look at me and think she's enlightened, because we all have a very fairy tale view of what is enlightenment, what is this state of enlightenment. We think it's somebody that's very quiet and smiling, do I smile or do I look sad? And just sort of gives off a very calm light. And a lot of people misunderstand and think that when somebody's very calm, very light, that they must be enlightened, And that's just because that particular character is either like that or pretending to be like that. Yes, might be like that, a very calm person. But all these, like the facets of the diamond, there are as many different facets of being, and that's lovely. I'm sure every speaker that you've had here talking about non-duality, very different characteristics. And
and I think that has to do with the character, how one carries on as an enlightened being. If the person was calm before, then he will become afterwards.
Just like money, you see. Because if some people have this really weird idea about money, which is also just sort of life anyway, just energy, isn't it? They think if people have lots of money, they're going to suddenly be mean. But if people were mean beforehand, then they'll be even more mean when they've got money. If they were generous beforehand, they'll be more generous. I think some things expand your experience, and seeing this is one of those things. But I think that what worries me, if I can just sort of say this, I've watched a lot of people, come to non-duality meetings, because with non-duality North, which I'll talk about later, which is where I put on speakers and they come to the North. So I've seen a lot of non-duality meetings, and people going to these meetings and reading books, and the amount of emails that I get that will insist that there's something to get, and what happens is some people think they half get it, and they think that it's about detachment, and this is a really important point, because non-duality is, and even the word, it's dreadful really, isn't it, to have to call it anything, because really it's life, love, being, but we can't keep on using those same words. But people think it's about being detached, so they will write to me and say, "Oh, I'm not interested in doing things or going to gigs anymore, or going to art galleries, or going to the movies, or listening to music, and I'm not getting on that great with my boyfriend or my girlfriend, and because they don't understand this. And then they end up in an island of self-isolation, and they'll say things to me like, I don't know what I want to say to people anymore because they're all so trivial. I get this an awful lot. And that is a sort of a detachment, and also it's a false detachment.
Yes.
But really, when this is seen, it's about a non-attachment, a natural non-attachment, just a natural falling away. So you can't practice it, because you can't practice being in the moment. You either are or not. Yes. And everything that everybody says, it's all a part of you anyway. Yes. So it's just a joy, really. Yes. When everybody's such a treasure, aren't they? Because it's all a part of this glorious being. So I think the thing that people miss about this is the intense aliveness. Being is vital, sexy, alive, and just joyful. And, so how you can miss that? Now, that doesn't seem like somebody who's detached, does it? That's not detachment. It just so happens that when there's a seeing of one's being, when there's a sort of seeing through, then because there's a seeing, it's not even seeing, because then it assumes somebody's seeing, that there is no person there anymore, then there's nothing to obstruct or pare down or interfere with the aliveness of every bit of nowness, like talking to you, which is lovely, eating sausages, which is scrummy. I mean, sausages frying in the pan, you're hearing the noise and everything. I mean, these things are really, and even when I'm laughing about it, really the underlying serious thing is that it isn't serious. It's what's more spiritual than that? Why do people have to divide it? I mean, meditation is glorious, wonderful, it's fabulous, but it's not going to get you enlightened, nor is eating sausages, or it might do. Either might do. So that's the thing.
So, Mandi, do you have, that sounds all lovely, and I would love to be there and
You are there.
and experience that.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm there. Yeah. Sometimes. I don't know.